in the actual, okay.
Take a moment to thank TEDx. I guess principally their willingness to have me. And then how impressed I am with everything that's gone on from the moment I got mail in my mailbox to standing before you today. So I want to thank TEDx for all of that. I was watching a documentary about a mother monkey. And apparently this mother monkey had had all the monkeys she was going to have, and she was done. But then, as life usually happens, you're going to have another monkey. You saw the look on her face, you could see. It was like, you've got to be kidding me. I've done all my work. But okay, we've got another one coming, and it arrives. And this is the worst monkey she has ever met in her life. She's out of patience, but she understands what she's got to do. So she, at that moment when the baby monkey shouldn't be clinging, she encourages it to walk, he'll have nothing of it. He's going to cling. He tries, he clings, and you can see, okay, cling. Then she's trying to forage, but oh, he's not clinging, he won't walk. Here's this food, that food. Here's how to pick a banana. No, he's shoving the banana into his mouth. I don't care anymore. So this goes on for a while, and on one of the rare occasions that they happen to be separated, the mother is walking along a raging stream, slips on a boulder, falls in, and drowns. And this monkey is like, whoa, what's going on here? And as you follow this, now not quite a baby monkey, when you follow the documentary, relatively soon thereafter, it dies. And the documentary concludes that it never learned how to be a monkey. But that's it. Guy that's interested about this stuff. Then I read an article about this band, this rogue band of adolescent elephants who are rampaging through the jungle, killing other animals. Well, do you know anything about elephants? They're very familial. They like have dinner together. They just don't do that. So this documentary went out to see, how is it that this happened? So they study the background, they study this band of elephants, and lo and behold, after the monkey documentary, I hear this conclusion. They were separated from the band of elephants where they were born, and they concluded that they never learned how to be elephants. And I thought to myself, that's interesting, because we're human, and I wonder, what is it that it takes to be human? But unlike the monkey, or the elephant, or the lion on the Serengeti that seeks out the wounded gazelle, we have a moral sense. We have a moral point of view. We have an idea of right and wrong, and good and bad. Struggle with it as we may, I believe with those that think we have an innate sense, moral sense, and a moral point of view. As we move through this on our path to moral maturity, we have to be willing and able to leave a world of can and can't and move comfortably, although not exactly comfortable, into a world of should and shouldn't. For our purposes, when we wonder about a moral point of view, we're going to talk about it as having a sufficient consideration of others. The philosophical sense is that you have a sense of otherness, you with others. And this is the point that we have to concern ourselves with, because as you move on in your daily lives, all excited about mastering content, I want you, or I would like you, to be wondering about mastering your character. And for me, it starts out with having this sufficient consideration of others. But oftentimes, we can't get there until we have an understanding of who we are. Not that you'll ever know, because the I is ever changing, or hopefully ever changing, and you'll be okay with that. But when we talk about this otherness concept, sometimes things get in our way. It worked. I even brought a hand towel. I'm impressed. I want to talk about ideology for a minute. There's hundreds of definitions on ideology. I just happen to like this one. An ideology is an overall constellation of values people may have, either individually or collectively, that operate so as to determine how they will act with respect to a given social domain. I suppose quickly and easily we think of politics, particularly in an election year where each accuses the other of having the bad ideology. They don't have a good ideology, or they're just saying that because it's their ideology. Hello? So we have to wonder about this idea of ideology, and it's often referred to as the straitjacket of the mind. I listened to Peggy's talk about this idea of being familiar with what you don't know. We have to wonder about this idea of values, your preferences, your biases. Don't think you don't have them. Your discriminations. Yes, you can't think without discriminating. It's this way. A painter has a palette of blues, and he wants just the right color of blue. He discriminates. So we need to have some sense of who we are on our path to moral maturity with this idea of what are my values and why do I think that? You need to draw them to your consciousness so then you can have an idea of, yeah, I'm okay with this. No, maybe that's got to be changed. You need to have a willingness to see yourself in context. Things are not the way they are just because you woke up to them this morning this way. They're that way for a whole host of reasons. And so you need to bring to your consciousness this idea of your values and why you have them. I suppose most of you, of a tender age, at least in comparison to me, are probably motivated most by your religion and the values that came from that. So this idea of ideology and our values, it sometimes is restrictive, it sometimes is important, but here's why it's called the straitjacket of the mind. I was reading a bedtime story, Where the Red Fern Grows. Do you remember that, any of you in 5th or 6th grade? I wasn't at all interested in it, but I was just reading it. But then, you know, it's funny. I came to this passage on how to catch a raccoon. It seems, put this down and I have to remember to go down. See, this clever hunter said, well, raccoons are very curious by their nature. That's problematic. I could do another talk on that. They're very curious and they're very attracted to shiny objects. So this hunter figures out that he's going to get a hollow log, put something shiny in it. He knows the raccoon's going to find it because it's curious. See, this clever guy, he takes a hammer, puts a nail on the diagonal in this hollow log. Comes along, whoop, shiny object, puts his paw in, no problem, grabs the shiny object. Uh-oh, we have a problem. Does he let go of the shiny object? No. Does he realize that if he pulls out hard, this nail's going to do like serious damage to it? Yes. So what does he do? He just stands there. He just sits there. Until the hunter comes along, grabs the log, pounds it against the tree until it's dead. I think to myself, oh my God, that's ideology. That's the straitjacket of the mind. I think, oh, you poor, simple raccoon. Why didn't you just let go of it and move on to something else? Now, I don't even want to mention what I thought of this hunter taking advantage of this poor raccoon. But then I thought, okay, forget the definition. Now I got ideology down. But then, you extrapolate and you start thinking to yourself, moral point of view, otherness. How many of you out there have grabbed on, or are grabbed on, or are seeking to grab some shiny object that has absolutely no meaning, no benefit, and no chance of fulfillment? That's what I worry about. That's what I'm concerned about, because when we start talking about values and who we are and the content of our character and how difficult the struggle can be in a life of should and couldn't, it's complicated. And so we have to start, and we have to be wondering about these things. Not that you're going to resolve them tomorrow. You're not going to resolve it by tomorrow. It's a lifetime process, but believe it or not, shouldn't is more comfortable than can and can't, in my opinion. Man, these guys at TEDx. Uh-oh. What? Thank you, Mary. Are you Mary? Thank you, Mary. Man, I'm glad to get rid of that. I know you're like, oh my God, look at this PowerPoint. Doesn't he realize it's not in bullet form and there's too many words? He must be new to PowerPoint. I know, okay? But in all my study of morality and values and ethics and wondering about a moral point of view, in the concept of almost perfect understanding, shamefully, sometimes it was true of me, but more really in the people I encounter at times, this is the best paragraph you will ever come across to emphasize a moral point of view in the negative. It's brought to you by the great Agatha Christie in The Mirror Cracked, as told to us by a once great philosopher from the University of Michigan. I was going to say naturally, but I'm on the wrong stage. If you're like Allison Wilde, you never really know what you may be doing. Allison Wilde never thought of anybody else but herself. She was the sort of person who tells you what they've done and what they've seen and what they've felt and what they've heard. Life is a kind of one-way track, just their own progress through it. Other people seem to them just like wallpaper in a room. That was one of the greatest metaphors I have ever come across in this sense of having a lack of otherness. People like her lack any real consideration for the way their actions may affect other people. She thought always of what an action meant to her, never sparing a thought to what it might mean to somebody else. The moral point of view is what Allison Wilde did not have. I would like to think that none of us are Allison Wilde, but I suspect that there are people in the audience who are on their way, if not they're already there. And that's why we have to have this ongoing exercise of otherness, values, and I guess empathy plays a big role on that. And so while this was the best paragraph I've come up with, who knew that I would love the movie Ace Ventura, Pet Detective? It's not even something I would have watched on demand or for free or anything else, but I happened to be with a group of people, and I have a sense of otherness. I see me in context. I caught the drift. Okay. And I find I'm laughing. This John, is this John Kerry? Okay, that's close. Ace Ventura, okay, fine, I'm watching. It's kind of funny, cute movie. And even now I'm beginning to think, all these stories that have given me such epiphanies, they're all about animals. I feel like I should be a zoo director. So there comes this scene where the Miami Dolphins, their mascot is missing. We have a missing dolphin. So there's a gaggle of reporters around Ace, peppering him with questions. And how are you going to catch this dolphin? Ace says, I'm going to be the dolphin. And my group laughed. I didn't laugh. I thought, Eureka. That's it. This goes with my paragraph perfectly. Another animal story, but that's how it is. I'm thinking, be the dolphin, be the dolphin, be the dolphin, dolphin. If you want to be a good professor, you have to be the student. If you want to be a good parent, you have to be your 10-year-old. Not assimilating with the student or assimilating with the 10-year-old, but I'm in the College of Business, and you have to have a capacity to understand and be an employee, particularly the disgruntled employee. And if you have this capacity over time, on your path to moral maturity, you're working on this idea of otherness, of being able to see yourself in context. And that's what I hope is the message for this talk. On a closing note, a reminder, particularly with TEDx, innovation, all the exciting things that are happening in technological advance, science, particularly medical science, you need to be mindful that it's not a matter of what you can do. It's really a matter of what you should do. Thank you. I appreciate it.